This episode is proudly brought to you by Kratzmann Caravans RV Super Centre. Look, out there on the Bruce Highway at Burpengary, don't trust me. Trust every single person that's bought a Kratzmann Caravan. They're still pulling them around Australia. The best caravans in the land. Their RV Super Centre is unbelievable. They've got RVs, caravans. You just need to tell them you listen to Inside Ball and head out there to Burpengary to go and buy yourself a caravan today. Hello and welcome to Inside Ball, you bloody beauty. Thanks to Kratzmann Caravans. Kevie, you're up and about. How good
I'm
is
up and
this?
about, Dobbo. My word, I am. Up and about. Certainly last night, brilliant performance from the Maroons.
Yeah.
In at half-time, we were very confident. In the second half, they finished it off, didn't they? It was a great performance from the Maroons.
24 points to 12. We will unpack it all here. And now I'm going to give you, obviously you'll be watching this. It's a little bit different. Kevie's in Sydney. I had to get on an early flight, so I'm doing this from the Triple M studios, not our normal Inside Ball podcast studio, but we're very thankful to Triple M who have let us use their studios to record this. Kevie had some third parties going on down there last night, and he's down there for the third parties. I mean, this is what happens. This is what happens when you're Kevin Walters and it's Origin.
Well, I had a great night last night, Dobbo, at the footy. Great night.
Mate, I saw you at the Shield. You try to avoid me. What about you? Let's just unpack the first thing I've took umbrance with you. You thought I was coming up to you with the microphone to interview you, and you wanted to hide from
mate.
You wanted to hide from your mate. That's what you did. I said, Kevie, I just want a photo, mate. I wanted as a fan to have a photo with an Origin legend. That's all I wanted. You can go and see that on our Inside Ball podcast.
That's fine. You got your photo. But look, I did some work pre-game for the NRL, and one of the things that I had to do, I went into the Red Bull corporate box.
Yeah.
With Alex Kinlock. Now, Alex is a mate of Darcy.
Darcy's. Yeah.
Yeah, and went to school in Brisbane.
It's very funny how he keeps his mates very close. You have to find these out. We haven't heard anything. He wants to get in with all your friends. Now we know the boss of Red Bull. It's one of Darcy's mates. We never heard about that.
But Alex went to Churchie, right? So, and Darcy's he's over at the other side of it at Ashgrove. So, but Brisbane's a small place, and he's a big Broncos fan as well. So, thanks to Red Bull and their hospitality at the Origin. There's a lot of Queenslanders in the box too, Dobbo, which made it even more special. And and then I went over before the game. I got some photos with the Shield, with some of the sponsors of the NRL on the field. And then as I made my way back out of the stadium, Batchy's Blues were there, and they were hammering me. They were giving it to me. They gave me some, I can tell you, yeah.
Why didn't you give a bit back?
All in good fun, mate. No, humble. Stay humble, Dobbo.
No, never, Kev. No, shove it right up them. Hey,
no, but it was
24
a great
points
night.
to 12. What about the performance? Let's just unpack Origin right now.
Yep.
A masterstroke, the selections all paid off.
Yep.
It was as complete performance that I've seen for 68 minutes without an error. And the 80-minute game, at 92% completion rate, they were sublime last night. They were on a mission.
They didn't make an error in the first half, which is fantastic ball control and discipline from the Maroons. And New South Wales didn't make too many errors either, but it was where they made their errors. The Blues, a couple of times there they were attacking the line and come up with some errors, but the Maroons' defence was just ruthless all night. Whether it was their line speed, their aggression in defence as well was outstanding. And then their scramble defence on the try line was amazing, and really proud effort from the Queenslanders. And I believe that was what Billy would be most proud about, is the defensive effort that the Queenslanders put in for each other, and the way they defended together. Last night was a really proud moment for Queenslanders.
Tom Dearden was, by far the best. He now has that 7 jersey. It's his. He doesn't ever need. You don't even need to question why he's fit. He might go to 6 at some point if Sam Walker comes in and Cameron obviously finishes his career at the back end. But he's integral now, and it paid dividends. That paid off. Hammer was unbelievable last night. Exceptional Hammer last night. And that is his position. We try to make him a wing and a centre, and then we question him. He's a fullback, and he showed why he's a good fullback.
Yeah, and I think Billy, he got the big decisions that he made. They all came through for him. With no Ponga, so he moved Hammer back to fullback rather than Reece Walsh, and they've got a win up there. He was very good at the back, very solid. Couple of try-saving tackles, on the try line, and then he set up that try for Tommy Dearden in the first half. So brilliant there. Shibasaki stood up well, a bit shaky early. Probably a few nerves there from Shibasaki, but he got the job done in the end. He was terrific, and also Josh Papali'i. Him to start the game in the middle. He just gave the Queenslanders a lot of confidence, I think, in that start of the game, to have the big fella there. And just remember that a lot of these boys would have been watching Josh play when they were younger and, playing in under 15s, under 16s, under 18s, whatever, and watching Josh do his stuff at Origin level. Now, to get that opportunity to play with him, I think that was a huge lift for the Queensland as well. And then you got Cameron Munster, the emotion around everything that happened to him privately, into the week and into the game. It was an amazing performance, from our captain, our inspirational leader. He was brilliant again last night. And just so many things came together for the Queenslanders to get their win.
I've got to be honest with you. The centres, Gemma Shibasaki and Robert Toya, for me, that's the big story out of it. I mean, I understand Trent Liera. Rob Toya had played 12 games of NRL when he got selected. Gemma Shibasaki didn't have a contract at the beginning of the season. And both those guys were just awesome.
Really good.
Kev,
really good.
Origin has this way of creating these stories. And, I mean, both those guys, well, they're cemented in folklore now. I mean, Toya played 3 games, 3 Origin matches, and he's won 2 on the road. Gemma Shibasaki, he's on 80,000 this year on a Devlist contract.
Well, he just earned half of that last night, with
a play. Yeah, unbelievable. Just unbelievable. One of the great stories.
Yeah, well, they were the two that were under a lot of pressure, Dobbo, weren't they? With the 2 New South Wales centres, Latrell Mitchell and Stephen Crichton. There's a lot of noise around pre-game about early ball to those two and how would Queensland defend that. Well, those two stood up brilliantly in defence and attack. They were good across the board. Every time that the ball was shifted, to the edges of the Blues, these two, their aggressive style of defence really suited their conditions last night because it was a dry track and it did enable the teams to use the ball a little bit better than, over in Perth with the rain. And they stood up brilliantly in defence and attack. It was a terrific performance from them.
I have to talk about New South Wales. Gee whiz, they really let that one slide. I mean, it should have, could have. I mean, if they had a kicker, they win game 2. They didn't.
And then the series is all over.
The series is all over. They gave Queensland a sniff. They never even looked like it last night. They never even looked like it. After the first 5 minutes, they threw everything at them. And then I'm like, wow, okay, there's some dramas here.
Yeah, there was a couple of try savers in there from the Queenslanders, which didn't allow the Blues to score first and get out of the blocks well, which they would have been hoping for, and bring the crowd into the game as well, Dobbo. We were both out there, and that, for 80,000 people, probably 60 or 70,000 of those people would have been New South Wales supporters, and they just didn't have anything to cheer about, really, particularly in that opening 20 minutes. And it was all Queensland, and the game plan of Queensland was brilliant as well. They high completions, kick to the corners, build your pressure with your defence, and then the tries flowed. And the try right on half-time by Harry Grant was a killer for the Blues. And he beat 3 or 4 New South Wales players there to get the ball down, which was a magnificent effort from Harry. And I thought he had his best game of the series as well, Harry Grant. At times, he was a real threat out of dummy half and causing chaos through that middle field, of the Blues' defence.
Yeah, it was. Where to now? I mean, Queensland win the series. We all walk a foot taller. Kev, I know you're so proud. What's your thoughts for New South Wales? What have they got to do? I mean, it just seems one step forward, 5 steps back.
Yeah, well, there'll be a few players that will feel the pinch leading into next year's series, I think. But our concern is Queensland. What are their options, Dobbo? Who can they sort of bring into the side that's going to help it? You look at Mitchell Moses.
Well, I think there's a lot of young blokes. I'm being honest here. I think there's a lot of young blokes. Like New South Wales would never select a Robert Toya or a Gemma Shibasaki. But
well, only because they don't have to, mate. That's one of their strongest positions is the centre position. They've got options everywhere. I mean, Bradman Best might be one that would come into it, but he's only been back for a couple of weeks. He's had a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
There's a very strong New South Wales side, Dobbo. Sometimes it just doesn't go quite right for you. And Origin games are hard to win. And to win a series is even harder. So, someone's going to win and someone's going to lose. So, if I'm New South Wales, I'm not panicking too much. They could quite easily have won the series if they got kicked a few more goals over in Perth, but they didn't. And then Queensland, I feel like Queensland got some good momentum off the back of that win. And then into, of course, Game 3, the decider at a core stadium, they came in full of confidence and they got the right result.
Yeah, well, they did that well. Okay, let's pack that up. Well done. They win 2-1. That series, well done to everybody. I think the Wally Lewis medal winner, the best. I think Tom Dearden deserved that.
Yeah. Great series, Tommy Dearden, Dobbo. I mean, really.
Unbelievable. He's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I want to move on, and it'd be amiss of me if I didn't ask. I mean, where are we at? Your name's being touted as a Kangaroos coach. Do we know anything yet? And I haven't even spoken to you this, so it's a question without notice, and I know you love this. Is there anything happening on that front at the moment?
No, still very silent, Dobbo. So I'm not. I believe
your name's being tossed around. You've heard
I know,
your name being tossed around. Yeah,
but I haven't really. But I haven't really spoken to anyone about the job or what the details are. So obviously I'm interested if they're interested. But until that phone call happens, we'll
you're not
just
going to
sit
put
tight
any energy into it.
We'll stay on the inside ball.
Yeah, well, you'll be on the inside ball regardless. We'll be coming to England with you if you do go there. But anyway, I just saw, I read in the paper today, yourself, Cameron Smith, Wayne Bennett, all been mentioned in an article.
Thrown around, yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask you, whether or not you'd had an approach or whether or not, obviously you're interested, but whether or not it was any movement on that. If you're going to break it, we may as well break it on inside ball.
Yeah, well, if that does come to that, Dobbo, that's what we will be doing, mate. Trust me.
Okay. Hey, we'll leave that there. Let's get into round 19, and a lot to get through. Can I just say, I just want to start with, I'm so happy for Billy that he's retained his spot. We talked about last week. I haven't actually had a chance with you to talk, and we will go to the Broncos game, but Billy's going to wear the 14 jersey. Honey comes back in there. His form has been awesome this year. I'm pleased Michael Maguire, that's the right decision. No disrespect to Pakesy, but that's the right decision. He's got a very, very good footballer in Billy Walters, and he's getting better with age, mate. He's getting better with age.
Well, he's back to his 2023 form, Billy, and most of those players are. They've got some confidence out of the last few weeks, and let's be real, Dobby. That's a very good squad that Michael Maguire is coaching there, and they should be, stringing together some good wins and playing some good football. It's unfortunate that they are blessed in the hooking position. The Broncos, they've got 3, 4, 5 options there that could play in the NRL. I see Blake Moser has had his jaw broken, so he'll be out for
he's out for a while.
For 6 to 8
I don't
weeks.
think he'll be playing first grade this year. That's
right.
Yeah, and I don't think you risk him. He's had a dicky shoulder anyway the majority of the year. Like he's had a really ordinary shoulder. Let's go through round 19. Big preview. So it starts tomorrow night. Sharks take on the Dolphins. Shark Park up the dark. Fins are without obviously Cody Nicarima for the next 6 weeks. We've got the hammer back into that side. Max Fine's held his spot in the centres because they've lost Bostock. But they've got Izzy Katoa and they've got Francis Molo, and, they are coming. I just don't know if they're going to have enough grunt.
I like them. I like the Dolphins on Friday night, Dobbo, against the Sharks. The Sharks have been inconsistent. Both teams are off the bye, so they'll be well rested and ready to go. The Sharks have lost their last 2 games, and not so long ago they led Brisbane, by 16 points or 18 points, whatever it was at half time, and the Broncos came back and won that game. So I haven't got a lot of confidence in the Sharks at the moment, and the Dolphins have been playing some really good football, led by Izzy Katoa, and I know that Cody Nicarima is out with that hamstring injury and Sean O'Sullivan comes in, but I just feel the Dolphins, they got some good momentum at the moment, and they look to be heading in the right direction for mine. So I'm tipping them to beat the Sharks on Friday night.
I think that's it's a really
it's a tight game. Yep.
Yeah, tight game. Let's work on the Saturday games. Night Storm, that's the first game. That's at McDonald Jones Stadium. Who do you like in that one?
Yeah, I like the Storm in this one as well. I feel the Knights have been a little bit inconsistent. They've gone loss, win, loss, win, loss. So, and they're off the bye as well. No Ponga. Fletcher Sharp moves back to fullback. And the Storm, well, they get Pappenhausen back from that calf tightness this week. And the Origin players are still unsure on whether they'll be playing or not. They've been named on an extended bench. Harry Grant, Munster and Lorero. So Stefano is still on the bench. He will probably play, I'd say. But the rest of them may get a spell, which, I'm thinking the Storm here, mate, over the Knights.
Yeah, I'm with you. Dragons, Roosters, I'm going to take the Roosters in this one, Kev. I don't think the Dragons can go close. I think there's got some real deep-seated issues there at the moment.
Yeah, I think the Roosters as well. Of course, Sam Walker back in at 7. That'll give some confidence to the Roosters. Also, those Origin players have been named, so it'll be a big indicator of the outcome of this one. If those Roosters Origin players are in, I feel if they play, well, it's clearly going to be a Roosters win. If they don't, well, the Dragons have got a good experienced side there. I think maybe they can sneak an upset, but we'll just wait and see on who's playing, for the Roosters on Saturday night before we make too big a decision. Is that fair enough, Dobbo? Or you want me to give? I'll give you Roosters.
Roosters. You can't have it each way, mate. You draw a line in the sand and you're back.
I have.
Roosters.
I said Roosters. Right, bang.
Cowboys and the Bulldogs, Kevie, like a lot there. I can't see. I think the Bulldogs have got some issues with the Galvin thing.
Well, it has created some noise, hasn't it? And they've lost their last 2 games. But the Cowboys' form isn't that great either. They've only won one of their past 4 games, Dobbo. But these Origin players dropping back into the side, surely that'll give them some confidence. With Did and particularly the form that he's in. And Nane, he barely played the other night. So, I think the Cowboys at home, there's pressure building on them as well. They sit in 12th position. I think they'll be a little bit more desperate than the Bulldogs at this point in time. And I think the Cowboys can get a win up there on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's just a smoky. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that one. Cowboys to beat the Bulldogs. Sunday sees the Warriors take on the Tigers. I think the Warriors win at home. I don't think we even muck around with that. I think the Warriors win at home.
Well, we can muck around with it a little bit because they've lost their past 2, Dobbo, at home against the Raiders and the Panthers. But Tuapiki back at fullback, I like that. Tanner Boyd in the 7 jumper. He's been, from all reports, in really good touch in the New South Wales Cup for the Warriors. And DWZ comes back from early from that ankle injury. So some big inclusions there, for the Warriors. And, they're a good side, the Warriors. They need to win this game. You'd expect them to beat the Tigers, who are sitting in 14th position. Jerome Luai's been named. I'm not sure if he'll fly to New Zealand and play this game. And Api Coruscant returns as well. They had a good win over the Roosters last week, but I just feel like the Warriors too strong at home.
Yeah, I like it. I really do. And I like this next game as well. Eels take on the Panthers. Now, Panthers have got a lot of players having to back up. I think this is a danger game. I think
it certainly is.
Yeah. And well,
Talon De Silva comes back on the bench. He's playing his first game for the Eels, and Junior Barlow plays his 200th as well. So there's plenty to play for the Eels.
I don't think Panthers can win this one. I don't think the Panthers will win it. No, I don't.
A lot depends on who backs up for the Panthers. Now, let's go through their Origin players. Martin's got a hand injury. Do you think he'll play?
No, I don't. I think it's a wrist. I think he's done. I think Cleary's in some doubt. I think Yo's got
groin
bashed. Yeah, and I think Edwards will probably play. But I don't think that they'll be.
But surely he can't.
I can't play either. So you might lose 3 out of the 5. Right. That's my And if that's the case, mate, Parramatta win that one.
Well, we have seen
Stadium.
This young Panthers side that is named. They beat the Warriors, only 2 or 3 weeks ago with this same team. So this is a danger game for both teams, and Panthers need to win to stay in the 8. I'm going to tip the Panthers, mate. The Eels, still with no Moses there. I feel like the Panthers will have just a little bit too much for the Eels.
All right, Titans take on the Broncos. This is the game. Now, this is the game that we've all been waiting for. Firstly, as a dad, Bill's in that side.
Yeah, very happy for Bill that he's held his position. Unfortunately, someone's had to miss out, and Pakesy is the unfortunate one. But he's a very competitive person, Pakesy, so I dare say he'll be back before too long. But Ben Hunt gets his first opportunity in the 9-jumper. They've been waiting all season for this spine, to get together. Reece Walsh, Ezra Mann, Adam Reynolds, the captain, and, of course, Ben Hunt. So it's a very good spine for the Broncos. And also the Titans get a couple of big inclusions with Jaden Campbell back into the side, returning from that concussion protocols, and David Fafita off the bench comes in. Now, the Broncos are in good form, and this is always a game that's a messy one, Dobbo. It's hard to pick, but I'm going to go with the Broncos on pure. If you look at the two team lists, the Broncos obviously heavily in front in that regard. So if they get their minds on, the Broncos will win that one. But the Titans, they can cause an upset. We've seen that. History shows us they can cause an upset.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Yeah, there is a lot. I'm going to tip the Broncos as well. I think Broncos win. So Kevie's tips. He's got the Dolphins winning tomorrow night. The Storm, the Roosters, the Cowboys, the Warriors, the Panthers, and the Bronx to win. And they're your tips. Now, we'll get to questions for Kevie, but while we've got you, I've taken the liberty this week of giving everybody the bet for the week. And I just want to go through it. Now, you might not like this, but I want to. I've gone long and hard, and I've got this computer system. I've worked it all out. So I'm going to take North Queensland to win head-to-head on Saturday night.
Yep.
Then the Broncos to win on Sunday.
Yep.
Jalen de Groot for the Titans to score anytime try scorer.
Right.
And the fullback, Reece Walsh, to...
How many is he going to score?
Anytime. No, he can score anytime.
Just one.
So it's a four-leg multi.
Right.
So Cowboys to win, Broncos to win. De Groot will score for the Titans. Walsh scores for the Titans. I reckon if you go hard, you'll get $16 for it. Right. And I reckon, you know what? There's your little top up. There's your little top up in the middle of winter. Buy a nice little bottle, buy a little Botza, and go from there.
Right.
Our Kratzmann's Caravans player on the move. Who do you think's on the move for the round of 19, Kev?
For the round of 19, look, I'm going to say Ben Hunt. He's back in the Broncos side.
Great call.
Good Great inclusion. Call. His first time in the 9-jumper, for the Broncos. So, I'm going to go Benny Hunt. He's the Kratzmann man on the move.
Yeah, look, I don't know if Huss plays. I don't know. I don't think he will.
No.
I think there's some doubt still. Yeah, he looks underdone. That back needs some rest. And if Michael Maguire's serious, I know they get a bye, but I think, rest him this week, give him his 2 weeks off. You're going to be in a lot better position come round 22 when he gets back. I think they take Parramatta on the 24th on a Friday night. Our Kratzmann Caravan player on the move is Ben Hunt, and I think that's a great pick. Questions for Kev, and there's a lot of them. New South Wales mindset must have been, we just need to show up, Kev. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think that's the case. They started the game pretty well, but they came up against a very committed Queensland team. And, Origin is not one, on talent. It's one on effort. And the Queensland players, I'm going to say, out-efforted the New South Wales players. They wanted it more. It just comes down to who wants it the most. And Queensland wanted it more than New South Wales.
Is Nathan Cleary the new Mitchell Pearce? Great at clubland, but just can't get it done at Origin level.
No, I don't. I think it's unfair on Mitchell Pearce. He came up against a pretty committed Queensland side with full of stars. Look, Nathan admitted, last night after the game that his form at this level is okay to be questioned. So he's aware of it. But it's I think he's a good player, and I think last night he came up against a very good Queensland side. He's opposite Tommy Deard and outplayed him. So there's lots of work to do yet for Nathan. He's certainly been a great player, and he's won 4 premierships, for the Panthers. But the next level up, Origin's a different ocean that you swim in, Dobbo. And, he's got some work to do in that space for sure.
We've talked about it, but there's a lot of questions for Kev about how good Shibba was last night. Great story for Queensland, and that Gammon Shibasaki, just how good he was going.
Yeah, loved it, Dobbo. Loved it. Love seeing a young Queenslander like Gammon and play the game that he did. Origin football is tough. It's physical. It's more mental than anything else. And he showed us last night how mentally strong that he is. He's had a great start to the year at the Broncos. He's been scoring tries. He laid on a try, last night for Xavier Coates. That was the first try for Queensland. It was brilliant work from him. So he looked right at home in that centre position. that jersey could be his for as long as he wants it.
Your honest opinion of Ashley Klein's series?
Oh, I thought he was fine. You know, referees, it's tough being a referee. I've refereed games.
He wasn't good, mate. He was inconsistent. Let's be honest. I'll answer that. I don't.
Yeah, you answer that.
I like
for me.
Ashley Klein as a
I don't
bloke.
want to get a
really
fine.
do. Good bloke. I won't be getting a fine. I thought he was inconsistent. And look, he still is the best referee. Well, yeah.
Well, 7-3 last night, the penalty count to New South Wales.
Yeah, well, there you go. Can Dearden get the 7 jersey off Cleary? Can it? And
I can, certainly can. Yeah, that's going to be a battle for the next 10 years, that one. Certainly. Yeah. On what Tommy showed last night. You know, what Tommy does well is he plays to his strengths and then he transfers those strengths into the team environment. He's a very good team player, very competitive player, and also he's got some great skills that he just brings them out and continually tests the New South Wales defence. He does that show and go that he's got. It doesn't always work for him, but when it does, there's tries happen, there's line breaks. He's brilliant. Love watching him as a player.
How, outside of Dearden, who was your next player of the series? Who was your second?
Outside of Dearden? Pat Carrigan had a pretty big game 2 and game 3 off the bench. I sort of was a little bit, asking questions, Pat Carrigan coming off the bench, but it was a masterstroke from Billy to do that, to put him on the bench, and then when he comes on, he just adds that spring, that energy, off the bench. And I thought he was, in Queensland's top 2 or 3 players. Cameron Munster as well. He was the man of the match in game 2, and game 3 under tough circumstances really did his job well for Queensland.
Yeah, certainly did. That's it from us here, Kevie. I know we've got a lot. We'll be back on Monday. We're back to normal programming. We haven't got Origin anymore. It's Clubland, the race home, and our guests continue. This is Inside Ball Podcast. Have a great weekend. Benny Hunt, best of luck. Good on you, Billy Walters, for being back there. And Kevie, just go a bit easy, mate. Just go a bit easy down in New South Wales for the next couple of days. Just take it steady. We'll see you again on Monday on Inside Ball. Appreciate you all.